Hey guys, it's Bastian time, and welcome to Zelda News. I'm your host, Bastian. This episode is going to be sort of focused exclusively on new 3DS info, so let's get straight to it. The first thing, which shouldn't have been that surprising, but for whatever reason, kind of did shock me, is that it turns out that A Link to the Past 2 is using the original Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past soundtrack, but now orchestrated to sound basically completely orchestral. Now, I can't tell if they are actual instruments played by an orchestra, or maybe synthesized instruments that sound realistic enough, but orchestrated. Whatever the case is, it sounds amazing, and I gotta say, I'm not all that sad that they're not having a brand new soundtrack. Now, I'm sure there will be at least a couple new pieces, but I'm really looking forward to hearing all of those old school A Link to the Past songs in this new orchestral style. It's going to be awesome. Now, Nintendo held a sort of media event where the big, huge media people got to meet in San Francisco, get some hands-on time with the game, with the demo. Basically, it's just the one dungeon, and in so doing, they were able to show us the bottom screen, which nothing too much to write home about. Basically, since it was in a dungeon, all we can see is what it looks like from within a dungeon, and just like in Ocarina of Time, how you had the touch things on the right-hand side to show which items are assigned to which buttons. Same thing this time around. Also, of course, there's a map right there in the middle, and it's just pretty much what you would expect. However, when they went into the item subscreen, if you count up all the squares, it's 20 squares for items. Which, first of all, tells us there are going to be 20 items, but also, A Link to the Past had exactly 20 items. Well, if you count all of the bottles as one item, because you could select like a sub-screen, and then that would pull up, you know, your 4 bottles. So that might be the case with this game, and this really makes me wonder. I'll get into this in probably another video where I'm giving my thoughts and feelings on this game, but it makes me wonder if this really was meant to be a remake of A Link to the Past, and that they had just changed up so much that they felt, we may as well make it its own game. Or it also makes me wonder, could A Link to the Past be like a second quest or something? Could we actually be playing a remake of A Link to the Past after finishing this game, maybe? Or, you know, maybe that will be DLC. But anyways, this is a topic for another time. We now know exactly how many items are going to be in A Link to the Past 2, which is the exact same number as A Link to the Past 1. Also, it looks like, according to this rumor, that A Link to the Past 2 will be running at 60 frames a second, even in 3D. That is amazing. I mean, Super Mario Land 3D... I never get that title right. Super Mario 3D Land ran in 60 frames with the 3D off, I think, and then when you turn the 3D on, it was only running at 30 or something like that. Don't quote me on that, I didn't look that up, but I do know that it didn't run at 60 frames. So if they manage to pull that off with the sequel to A Link to the Past, that's going to be awesome. And then our final bit of news is that it looks like, well, we already know that the overworld to A Link to the Past 2 is identical, as far as we've seen, to A Link to the Past 1, at least in its basic shape. There's a video up, I think it's by Game Explain, who sort of shows you side-by-side comparison. They basically recreated the demo, not the demo, but the part of the trailer scene in that overworld over by the woodcutter's house. They recreated that, and so now you can watch them sort of replicating that part of the trailer in A Link to the Past side by side with A Link to the Past 2, pretty exciting. If you want to check out how similar those are, there's going to be a link for you down below. And that is it for this episode of Zelda News. Tomorrow is Nintendo News. See you then. Bye, guys.